Hi friends, it is Friday, April 10th, 2020, and technically today we would not have had school because it is Good Friday and Easter is on Sunday. So technically we're on spring break. But since I know you guys miss me terribly, I figured we could read a book every day even though it is still spring break. We've got Tadpole here, he was ready to be in the video and now he's just being obnoxious. Got a couple different props here. I'm a little late today because I was busy baking this morning. I made these lovely treats here. Made some strawberry bars. Hope you are having fun helping your parents cook or bake or make stuff at home since we are not at school. So our word of the day today is cluster. And a cluster, oh my goodness, I dropped the papers. It's like being at school, but there's nobody in the splash zone. A cluster is a number of things that are the same kind that grow or are grouped together. So a lot of times in nature we see, he's got playing with his new penguin toy back there. We see clusters of flowers. I brought my little grapes here this morning because they grow in a cluster. So that gives you an example of what a cluster looks like. So the example sentence is, Mom tucked a small cluster of green grapes into my lunchbox. I really only like the red grapes. That's why those are what's at my house. So I thought we would start, since we have a whole week for spring break, a new Zoey and Sassafras book. And this one is called Merhorses and Bubbles. Interesting. We'll have to see what this one is about. Now we know that this one is a chapter book. It has 13 chapters. And we'll see how long they are. I'll read a chapter or two every day. Chapter 1, Looking Underwater. A shadow caught my eye and I ran to the window. Was that? No, it was just a crow, I sighed. Our baby dragon friend Marshmallow had returned to his life in the forest weeks ago, but I was really hoping that he'd come visit again soon. Really soon. The sooner the better. I sighed and rolled the giant tube back and forth on our dining room table with one hand whilst I searched the sky for Marshmallow, just in case. Ow! Hey, that's my hand, I yelped. Sassafras must have been aiming for the rolling tube, which he probably thought was now alive. But his needle-sharp claws landed on my poor hand instead. You're not even supposed to be on the table, stinker, I said as I lowered him to my lap. Meow, he complained. He slipped his front paws onto the table one at a time and looked up to see if I noticed. He tries to crawl across the table to get them. He's like, but I'm cute. He gives you that look. But I decided to let him stay and watch. Just a little longer before we go to the stream, Sass. With my underwater viewer, I'll be able to see all the bugs at the bottom of the stream really well. I'll be the best stream bug hunter ever. Ugh! The piece of plastic wrap I'd grabbed from the kitchen wasn't big enough to fit over the end of the tube. I picked up Sassafras and set him on my chair. I patted his head. I'll be back, and then we can go. I pulled the plastic wrap out of the kitchen drawer and heard a loud yowl from the dining room. I shook my head. That silly cat. I checked the dining room, but I didn't see Sassafras anywhere. Thunk. I looked down at the floor. Something moved. The plastic tube for my underwater viewer was now under the table. How did that get there? I bent down to pick it up and turned it toward me. My cat's face peered at me from inside the tube. Oh, Sassafras, you're not supposed to shove your whole head inside the viewer. She looks kind of stuck like she's in a toilet paper tube. You just look through it. I gently wiggled the plastic cylinder off my cat's fluffy head. His head popped out and he rubbed against me and purred. You're welcome, goofball, I said, ruffling his fur. Maybe we should leave the underwater viewer to me from now on, huh? Well, Sassafras agreed. We sat back down at the dining room table and I got to work. My mom had cut the bottom of the plastic jar off to make it a tube with an opening big enough for me to look through. And it was also big enough for my cat to get his head caught in. I carefully smoothed the plastic wrap over one end of the tube and stretched 3 rubber bands around the outside. Ta-da! My viewer was done. Now all I needed was some stream water. I gathered up my things and had heard the bushes rustle outside. I ran to the window, hoping that it might be my monster friend Gorp, but this time it was only a squirrel. I sighed. Should I stay home in case the magic doorbell rang? Sassafras bumped his head into my leg and meowed impatiently. He was right. Waiting wasn't going to make a magical creature appear. Besides, I might be even more likely to run into Gorp in the forest, and I could see the sky just as well, and maybe even better down at the stream. I made up my mind. Mom, Dad, I hollered. Sassafras and I are going to the stream now. Okay, Mom called back. But remember, no whining when I call you back for lunch. Who, me? I giggled as I headed out the door. The next one's short enough. I will read that one. Chapter 2, Stream Bugs. Sassafras ran by my heels and meowed up at me. I could tell that he was especially excited to head to the stream today after all of my talk of bug hunting. If you promise not to eat them, I'll show you some of my favorite stream bugs, I told him. Sassafras tilted his head to one side like he was considering my offer. I really hoped he could resist gobbling up the poor stream bugs. Whenever he spies a bug, his tail gets all twitchy. He's always trying to eat them, and I'm always trying to save them. You'll be able to see their neat little gills flutter like hummingbird wings. It's pretty cool, Sassafras. The mayfly babies have 7 rows of gills down the side of their bodies. They beat up and down to move the water around and grab teeny tiny bubbles of air out of the water. I took a deep breath. I do like having lungs, but sometimes I wish I had gills so I could live underwater. Don't you? Sassafras's eyes got big. He was probably thinking of all the bugs he'd get to eat if he could breathe underwater. When we got to the stream, I set all of my supplies on the sandy shore. Today was nice and warm, a perfect day to hunt for stream bugs. The water sparkled as the sun reflected off the ripples in the stream. Wait a minute. Was part of the stream sparkling in rainbow colors? I took a few steps closer and squinted in the sunlight, but I couldn't see the rainbow anymore. Huh. I'm so desperate to find magic today, I guess I'm seeing things, I said to Sassafras. He peered up at me and blinked. I looked one more time, but the stream seemed normal again. I shrugged and took off my shoes and rolled up my pants and grabbed my underwater viewer. It's bug time, I exclaimed as I marched into the stream. Sassafras must have been distracted by the thought of bugs because he followed me. But when the tip of his front paw touched the stream water, he jumped sideways and shook his paw like crazy. He squeezed his eyes closed tight and jumped around a bunch more with his ears flat against his head. I couldn't help but laugh as he flipped and flopped about. Sassafras seriously hates getting wet, apparently even more than he loves eating bugs. Sassafras climbed a nearby tree and scowled down at me. I grabbed the little tub I had brought and filled it with some stream water. I'll put the mayfly babies in here, Sassafras. That way I can bring them to shore to show you. But remember, no eating. I pressed the plastic wrapped side of my underwater viewer into the water and peered through the tube. I could see the bottom of the stream really clearly. Oh, a rock as big as Sassafras's head. There ought to be at least 5 or 6 stream bugs clinging to the bottom of that one. Picture of her in the stream, looking in her viewer, flipped it over and saw nothing. Huh, that was weird. The rock was perfect for stream bugs. I shrugged and used my underwater viewer to find another big rock. No bugs. What is going on? I muttered. I investigated rock after rock after rock, but I couldn't find a single mayfly baby. I did, however, find a lot of algae, which was cold and slimy, and I had to keep flicking my hands to get it off. I also found some worm-like things oozing along the bottoms of the rocks. I poked at them, but they weren't as interesting to watch as my fluttering-gilled mayfly babies. Sassafras, do you think the mayfly babies somehow turn into adult mayflies all at once? I called up to him. Mayflies start as eggs, and then the eggs hatch underwater, and the little mayfly babies crawl out. They live in the stream for a long time until they get bigger and shed their skin. I shivered. The shedding skin thing always kind of freaked me out. When they get rid of their skin at the top of their water, they crawl out, and boom, they have wings. Maybe they did that all at once or something. I looked around, but I didn't see any flying bugs. But then again, mayfly adults only live for a day or so, which is so unfair. Flicking the slime off her fingers. If I lived all of my life underwater and woke up with wings one day, I'd want more than one day to fly around. Okay, fine. Maybe all the mayfly babies have flown away. I'll just find you a Cassidy fly baby, Sassafras. They are also super cool. You can't really see their gills, but they build homes on their backs out of rocks and mud, leaves, or twigs, and then they can hide inside it like a hermit crab hides inside of its shell. I must have made Sassafras curious. He hopped down from the tree and came to the edge of the stream to watch me. I used my underwater viewer to focus on the tops of rocks and then and the gravelly bottom of the stream this time. But no matter which way I looked, I couldn't find any caddisfly babies crawling around. Was this really an unlucky day? There she is looking. That's what she's looking for. It's kind of a cool little bug. I flicked more algae off my hand. Ugh, I give up. I humphed as I flopped down next to Sassafras on the shore. He nuzzled my arm. We were both pretty bummed. No fun stream bugs today, I guess. Sassafras's ears pricked toward home. He meowed once and trotted back down the trail. I strained my ears and I could barely make out my mom's voice. Oh, it was time for lunch. As I put on my socks and shoes on, I thought I saw the shimmer of a rainbow light on the other side of the stream. I took a step closer, but then it disappeared. Mom kept calling in the distance. I took one last minute to look for the rainbow light, but all I saw was the normal sparkling stream water. I shrugged. I must have imagined it. There really wasn't anything exciting at the stream today. I trudged home with slumped shoulders. So much for a fun afternoon. And that is the end of the chapter. So we will put our bookmark in and save it for Monday. I hope you all have a wonderful Easter. Take some time today to draw a pretty spring picture. You could draw an Easter bunny or just a bunny in all sorts of rainbow colors if that's what you like to do. A lot of my friends like to make rainbow colored things. You could also cut out and decorate paper Easter eggs and put them in your window for your neighbors or even the mailman to see, because it brightens their day when they can see something fun like that. I feel like my mom is calling me for lunch. It's almost time for my macaroni and cheese to be ready. So I will see you all on Monday. Have a great weekend and happy Easter.